rising above. Let me tell you how it's done. Above average black men shining like the sun. With Chris Sr., Chris Jr., Devin on the beat. We're telling stories from the heart. Feel the pulse in the heat. Yo!
I was thinking something happening in the world. You said, well, I'm saying, what you see more around is break them down. If people are so survivors, people respond. You know, then they kind of, a lot of times they're wrong. They're wrong.
Journey through laughter and tears, celebrating achievements, confronting our fears. We interview the dreamers, the doers, the straight hustlers. This mob are in the youth, yeah, we raising up these brothers. Positive vibes only, breaking down the hate. We rebuild our narrative, it's never too late. Hear about the scholars, the athletes, the artists. In the world full of chaos, their light is the sharpest. Yeah, tune in, don't miss it. We got something to share. Above average black men, spreading love everywhere.
Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Sr.
Chris Jr., as always, here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, interact with us. I feel like I haven't been here for a while.
I've been busy. You've been out there on your comedy stuff.
It's
pretty cool. Which is pretty proud papa moment. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, man.
I'm happy to be back.
I said, I missed you, man. But we all missed last week. Because I was down in Claude checking you out.
Yes.
And the week before, you weren't here. Devin and I just did that. Yeah. So we got in Claude, man. He did his thing, man. So now he's gonna be hosting that Claude.
Yes. Next week on Tuesday, I will be hosting the open mic at Claude's. What is that? The 4th, August 4th. They got 2 shows, 7 and 9. If you're interested in signing up, you can do so online. Go to Claude's Comedy. And you could fill out the form there. But if you just want to pull up and have a good time, it's $2.
It's a great venue to see. $2.
Yeah, $2. You gotta keep it. Open mic night,
$15, man.
No,
for the show.
This is an open mic.
People be trying to be 30.
No, that was. I think he came open nights. So open mic nights.
Oh, you're his dad.
Because you want to know what it is. Open mic nights is a little rough. Like you never know what you're gonna get sometimes. So they ain't gonna charge you up for that. But when you come into a showcase,
you gotta tell me because if you don't know what you're looking for, you think you're going to a check cashing place. But let me paraphrase it. It's a nice place. Actually, it's a great place to see comedy.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of people who are my age understand back in the day when you went to clubs and stuff, you kind of went down the steps or the basement part.
A little speakeasy.
You go into this place and it's like it looks nothing like the entrance.
Outside.
Yeah, you go like the bar section is pretty cool, man, and then you go into the clubs like the 1950s club where the lights are dim. The lights are dim, and all this business like the smoke. It's pretty cool.
Like a cigar section or something like that. It looks like we should have like a velvet room.
You gotta eat it before you come.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Well, maybe I can sell some.
I mean, that'll be something to improve there. Maybe is the food, but the comedy, the space itself, the vibe is. I really love that place, and I think it's going to be one to take over in Philadelphia. It's on South Broad Street, other side of City Hall.
The only downside, like I said, is I found a spot, and so we found a spot easy, so it wasn't that big a deal. Free parking. But I think that location is if you're not paying attention,
you'll walk right by it. So because
I actually walked past it.
That's the issue. The check cash
because that's all you see. And I'm thinking, and you don't think to look out the door, but you check cash inside. You think you see this check cash inside is like 4 buildings long. It's huge.
And even like on the sign on the door could be a little bit prominent because you can't really see it.
And it throws you off because it's like, who goes to a check cashing place now? That's another thing that kind of think, okay, maybe it's a different world down there in South Philly.
No, man, it's
like
you said, the vibes, great vibes. Love the place.
I love walking a week. So weeknights definitely is not my thing. It's not my thing.
It's a good space,
but
comedy.
And it's and it's like a good clean safe. The jokes were pretty good, but it was like the atmosphere. Like everybody in the club was in a good mood. There wasn't a sour person in there.
It's a little like I can see people, I can talk to people, I can hear them. Like sometimes the bigger clubs or venues, like it's
I was ready to get back to tell some of my jokes, man.
I mean, listen, you can on Tuesday if you want. 3 to 5 minutes, man. You're like, damn.
Yeah, but it was a great time, man. It's a proud papa moment, man. You know, I gotta admit I was surprised. Twice I went, and twice I didn't hear any dad jokes. So I was kind of relieved, and I was kind of surprised, man.
I'm waiting. Gotta build up the arsenal. Man.
But so I gotta make sure I send out, you know, because I got some people lined up. I let them know, man. We gonna be down in Tuesday. I gotta do the 7 o'clock show, man.
Like you said, Tuesday, 7 o'clock. You know, and if you're a night owl, you come out there at 9. But 7 o'clock, I'll be there hosting. I'll do my little time up at the top, and then you know, all night I'll be bringing up the
I would recommend 7 o'clock, especially for parking, because people start coming home and the places down there. Yeah, parking start. Because I noticed when I came out, it was no spots.
I got lucky last night. I went there and was able to park almost right in front of the building. I went to Philly's Funniest to see Justin. He advanced, and then after that, I went to Cause just to jump on stage in the second show. So it was cool.
So anyway, that was good.
They showed me love in there. I love that place, man.
Cool, man. So, you know, maybe I'll do a show from now.
If I gotta get big enough, that's what
maybe let's do a show. We get some stuff too. We can do a Restream down there, man.
I ain't like that yet. We'll see.
No, I mean, the whole thing. Now it's pretty cool.
I ain't like that.
Well, there's black men that claw.
Okay, claws.
Come see say claw.
They do comedy in there.
Everybody's walking.
They only do comedy 7 nights a week.
Yeah, I'm just saying we can stream the show from there. You know, we can highlight the content. That'd be pretty cool.
Are you talking about watch other people's stuff?
Yeah, they can do a whole. Yeah,
I'm telling you, as a comic.
I put my business hat on, whatever.
I'm telling you.
Change my voice to my proper voice.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, but see, it's different though because we have a different audience. We're not making money off of it. We reaching a different audience. You know, we got people out there, man, who watch us, man. Say, yo, man, I might go to club. So I'm gonna see if I can get a nice crowd for Tuesday. I gotta work with it. Tuesday. I gotta work with it. Tuesday, 7 o'clock, August 4th. I gotta work.
Already trying to come in my job and take over. Look at me.
Some people have different. See, your mom now tells us that people have different skill sets. You know, see. You could make them laugh, but I can draw them in to see them to see what you make them laugh. It's like, you know, everybody's his own, man.
I'm multifaceted. I got a lot of skills.
Multifaceted, but we reach different markets.
I understand that.
You know?
I'm still trying to figure out my market.
Well, you see, your style is, as we get into the show, but your style really appeals to people my age because it's not too dirty, but it kind of touches on it, but it's stuff that's relatable.
Yeah.
It's stuff related.
And it's weird. I think I got a kind of a broad range.
It is broad. But I think some people tell jokes and it's just for a limited group. You know, it's stuck for a certain age. And that's fine. Except you just don't know who's gonna show up on it.
Exactly.
You never know who's gonna show up.
I like to think I'm talking about life and things that we all might see. Or even myself. I like to a little bit of myself, you know? I'm the joke sometimes.
I got some
you'll be there.
I got some family stories. Oh boy,
you'll be there.
Favorite Christmas story.
I'll share those moments.
Yeah, man.
You know, like
you work down at the place, 3 Strap. Life lessons, man. You can't beat that, right?
Right.
But anyway, we don't get into this.
Plenty of.
There's so much to talk about, man. So much to talk about. You know, we have LeBron thing, so I do want to spend a little time talking about it because it's interesting in different aspects and how people look at it.
I like to talk about it too because it's a little bit lighter with so much tragic, heavy things happening.
But I want to touch on the Nolan Walsh thing.
Of course, yes.
Because as a parent, and it's funny because even you have professional athletes speaking out about not that, but about parenting, how they look at parenting different now. You know, and it's kind of like it's interesting because we might as well want to start there and finish the Brown.
Yeah, because it was something like
because it's interesting because what brought it to my attention was in watching. You hear all these shows like I watched The Pivot, I watched a lot of different shows, and they're saying now how they see parenting different. You know, because old school parents like us, remember where you going, what time you're gonna be back, who you going with, you know, who are the parents, you gotta meet the parents, all kind of stuff like that. You know, and we were blessed because we had people like Dana, Mr. Kurt, you know, who we could trust y'all to go places. The guy that can't, you know, we had that, but we knew him. We knew, you know what I mean? They came to our house several times. You know, we may not have intimate relations, but we knew their parents, we knew their guardians, right? You know, and so some of the professional athletes are saying the same thing. How, you know, especially when you make it, think you make it and you have a different group of friends because everybody's free, you just assume. Yeah, you just assume that everybody's going to look out for your kid and he's going to be okay. And then there's some people who assume people of color because they're not hanging out people who look like them, they're at least something less likely to get into things. They think this group is a safe group. And it's just interesting how, that's changed for a lot of people. Like your mom and I, we went to Panera Bread, and the lady from the counter she was on the phone having a conversation with her daughter. Daughter wanted to go somewhere. I don't know them people. And then when she got off the phone, she was sharing the same sentiment. So how did you feel when we were like that raising y'all? Because I know we were a little tight sometimes.
No, I mean, it's funny because I like to think, I was thinking about this, everything that you were saying, and like, just the idea of like how we were raised and I guess like how things are going now for like just the current climate of parenthood. Um, I think we had a healthy balance. It's like maybe in those moments you don't appreciate things, like, but when I look back at it, I feel like we definitely had a freedom, but it definitely was the idea. It was like a lot of transparency there, a lot of like, who is this? What you doing? Where you going? Be back at this point in time. Like, I feel like it was a balance of that, but you also instilled and had like the trust in us to do certain things and be on our own and go there. I feel like it's way too much trust now without the idea of asking any questions.
But I think about it, I think
or putting anything into place.
Your wedding kind of summarizes how we built relationships and how we thought about relationships. Because you look out there and you're a college coach. And I remember sitting in his office several times having personal conversations. We just go in there, like when one of the kids wanted to transfer, we were there, he wanted to go to Millersville, I'm not getting the kid's name. And we sitting there having this conversation, about different things, man. And, I'm not saying I knew him, but we had a relationship. It wasn't like, hey, what's up? And the fact that he came to your wedding and was excited about coming to your wedding. You look out there, see line side. You know what I mean? You see your teachers. So I think that the way we did things works to our favor because it built those relationships. When I was talking to people, when I was talking to Wayne, he was so happy about you getting married. From Canada, you talk to people from Canada, like everybody holding on. Whenever I run into Mike Wallace, same conversations. So those, because we built those relationships. When I look at it now, and you mentioned something, and that's interesting because that's my next question. Why do you think it's so much trust granted so easily
now? I think parents all too much nowadays want to be their kids' friends, and like they worried about looking cool and being cool versus being authoritarian sometimes. Which I think sometimes as a parent you need to be that. Like you are this child's guardian. You are to be their guardian and shepherd them up into adulthood as best you can. And I think too many times, like you see parents kind of taking this hands-off approach just with the expectation of like, all right, the teacher just supposed to teach them that. Or other people are supposed to do that, or responsible for that. Or just the expectation I hear sometimes from parents too. And hope that I'm generally not like this, but like parents are quick to sometimes get mad at kids without the understanding that they're a kid and your job is to teach them through these things and through these moments. But you just beating up on them, like, like saying, you got to do this. They have no idea, what you are the one who has been through this world and has experiences, but you have your wisdom to try to pass down to your child. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like your kid just sucking it up like a sponge because I'm sure for all of us, we're all different with how we have kind of taken your guidance.
But I think it's four things. First thing is the best parents are the ones who don't have kids because they think they have all the answers.
And that's where I was trying to put my hands up a little bit. Like I know I don't have kids.
Crack me up with the advice stuff to give. I think the second thing, people think is easy. People think it's easy when you say no to your kids or when it's not. You do want to say yes sometimes. There's sometimes when you want to have the benefit of the doubt, but something inside you says, I have to protect my son. I have to protect my daughter. So you say no. It's not that we enjoy saying no. Not that we enjoy being that tough. Just understanding the times we live in. And if I look at Mackenzie now, it'd be worse because now it's like, you got to kind of watch everything he does. As a parent, when I think about Nolan Wells or even Carmelo Anthony, man, it rips in my heart, man, because as a dad of an African-American youth, you don't want to see your kids in that position.
One thing I want to just say before kind of escapes my mind is like, I think like you raised me, you and mom raised me with the intent of this is the type of man I want you to be. It was very, I feel like intentional. It was like these things that, you can do some and have some of these childish things, but sometimes these talking or these lessons are ultimately there to guide you to be the man that we ultimately kind of want you to be, which is a good member of society, a good productive member of society. But nonetheless, I do think like there is something wrong and missing right now with just kind of the relationship between parents and kids.
Well, what about this? Because I think the missing ingredient that I don't see or hear people talk about now, we also raised all of you to be better than we were.
Yes.
We sat down and looked at the mistakes we made, looked at mistakes we love our parents, so I'm not saying it's wrong, but looked at the mistakes or the errors our parents made in raising us. And we put that into our decision making process.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We also factored in both of our experiences and thoughts and stuff as we were coming up with our decisions based on things. And I don't hear parents saying, "I want my kid to be better than me." You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear that I want my kid to learn from my mistakes, not their own mistakes.
We are raising kids to be kids, and almost like the actual level of kids, even when they reach adulthood. They never really being challenged or pushed to grow up. It's just always be pacifying them from toddler to teens to adulthood.
I was talking to a group of young men yesterday, and it was two young ladies, and we were having a conversation yesterday. I want to get them on here because I want to show him. Well, because I want to do a show, but it's funny because I think about the mental mettle of young men now or this generation behind us. And one young man said, he's muscular dude. One young man said, he didn't like himself because he was so lit. And he's not fat. He's just, And then he also said that he preferred to have another skin tone because his tattoos, look better on light skinned people. And I'm listening. You listen to him, and then and the other young man was saying how he could never tell a guy how he really felt. He could, if a female asked him, he was going through something. And so you hear these isms that people go through, and so you start to see the flaws. And I'm not saying anybody's a bad parent, so please don't misconstrue it. But you start to see the flaws, the chinks in the armor of this next generation, and you really start to see the things that they're missing, the things that parents should be. Well, a sense of self-identity. We always wanted you guys. And I laugh and joke about this, but to me, one of the proudest things that I can say that we accomplished with the help of God, because we didn't exactly always know what we were doing, is the fact that we transitioned from you were my son, and I always joke about this, to now, I'm your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so cool that we made that transition that all of my kids, not, with Devin, with Nicole, where it's no longer, you have your own identity now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's not, and I don't hear parents talk like that anymore. And when I'm working with kids, I don't hear kids talk like that anymore. And parents, somewhere along the line, it just seems like we're not equipping our kids to be the best possible version of themselves. So I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but it just seems like we just don't see. And I say we because it's not everybody, but I say we collectively, because we also don't have a whole village raising a child anymore. That aspect of
it. It seems almost sometimes like parents are so focused on themselves.
Yeah.
Where it is you got children almost raising themselves like entirely.
So as we segue, because I know you want to get to something else, I just want to say I don't know what happened with Nolan Wells. I'm not saying I do. Seems to get fishier and fishier by the day. But I do want to say this, parents, I implore you, man, know who your kids are hanging out with. My kids are grown, man. We still ask them, when you go away, send us the flight you want, send us the hotel you're staying at, please, and make sure, man, that you can never have all the answers, but make sure you're scrutinizing, who your kids are hanging out with, man. And you got to talk to them about good decisions, and everybody's not your friend. You got to have those conversations. You got to have those conversations.
Everybody's not your friend.
I know it's hard to have. It's hard to try to teach your kids to be tough without making them biased or hateful. But it kind of segues to our next conversation. Cheltenham High School. Rough couple weeks. Rough couple weeks.
What happened to my school? Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia now. I don't even think. Terrible. I used to be like, yeah, man, the real CHS. That's Central. Y'all got it. Y'all got it.
And it's funny because I love where I live at. So I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying, but you starting to hear things and see things like you would see in the public school. You are. The guy who was in there a couple of weeks ago had sex with a girl, or in the stairwell, and they got him on camera, 21 years old, walk around the school, and now you have this, and what we mean by this is apparently last year there was this in the football team. I don't know why they keep calling this hazing, because this is not hazing. Yeah, this is not hazing, but they
bullying.
Yeah, they kicked them, they punched them, they try to sodomize them.
This is not hazing.
Yeah, and I don't know what's worse.
Maybe because it was kids involved doing it.
But I don't know what's worse: the 6 kids who participated, the 19 people who watched it in the locker room and some filmed it, or the coaches who said, "Don't tell your mother because you can handle it." This is crazy. It's crazy, and I know the kids supposed to watch it all the time. So the worst case scenario, you may get a slap on the wrist saying, "Hey, somebody should have been there with it." But to tell somebody deliberately, because first of all, you're a mandated reporter. When you take that job, you become a mandated reporter, but you're obligated. You don't have a choice. You don't get to vote. Any type of physical or any neglect or abuse, you have to report.
I even was thinking about that. Like, I would have been in there, and it would be so great. I'm like, listen, y'all touch me with that. Y'all want to play this game? Y'all want? Somebody is going to
but think
on this earth tomorrow.
But think about it now. But I want to get to the side. I want to get to that side too. I do want to get to that because trauma has a lot to do with it. But not just one, not just two, not just 3, but 4 coaches.
That's
so nobody in that room, had the wherewithal to say, "Yo, this is not right."
And when you say don't tell your mom,
yeah, that's specific. That's specific. You won't handle it within, and then you don't handle it. But
as soon as I heard, like, why would they not tell their mom or dad? Like, why would we not? Like, that should be part of the process of getting things.
Well, I know why they would say it.
I know.
It became now about their job. It became about, I don't know what to say because I didn't think it.
Well, I was watching the news when they went through the messages, and like he was in there, they were talking about the season. Like, we on a good run. Like we don't want to mess up what we got going on type thing. And it was even sickening was that coach, he just got that job. He got the job in June. The first instance happened in August. And it happened twice. It happened to the kid again in September.
Well, I'm glad the other coach wasn't.
I know. Because I was like looking at the timeline. And I was like, oh, man.
Thank God that he wasn't.
Because I know he could have handled that part a lot better.
Yeah. But it's still being associated with something like that.
Yeah.
It can be damaging. It can be damaging. And I think for me, the fact that 4 adults who are charged with looking out for basically a bunch of immature teenagers, failed. They failed to protect their best interests. They failed to look out for them. They just failed. But 18 don't mean that.
I know, but it was just like the idea of like you getting tried as an adult now, and like even from that standpoint, I think that I've been aware of that when I was a kid growing up. Once you hit 18, things are different.
Well, the thing about
you are not a child anymore.
But there's also the thing
about the law.
There's also the thing about Shelton that I've learned just working with these kids. They don't understand the aspect of that.
I don't think any kids do. Honestly, like that's.
Well, I'm just specifically talking about.
I know, but I'm just in a broader sense.
I think some kids do, but I do agree with the majority don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Shelton kind of adds to it because it's almost like they think they live in fantasy land, in Candyland. Like out here is so different. That's not going to happen to me, or they can't do that.
That's one of the worst places to get in trouble at is out there in the county.
They don't understand. So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Why aren't parents having these conversations?
That's how you know you're not street dog, because you don't know that you go to the county and play around.
But it's funny because they all think they are.
People from the city know, like, you don't get in trouble.
So, but how much that we can so we can break it down. We can look at the first part. Is how much that we contribute to today's society and parenting. The fact that 19 other people in there watched, didn't say a word, some of them filmed it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that 19 other people in there didn't report it. And to me, and this is why I know I'm getting in trouble, all 19, they should be doing community service or something. They should not be let off the hook.
But it's it's a sheep and herd mentality. I think we have way more people in society that will be way more comfortable kind of just falling in line and going with the group versus like stepping up and doing the right thing. And just to tie Nolan well versus also with kind of just having a shot hand again is this idea like people know what is going on and know what is wrong, but because it's a larger number of people who are there and just saying like, we're going to do this, they just go against even their morals or what they even think or know is right, just because it's a lot easier to be a sheep and not deal with that of being an outcast. So again, like it's crazy to think it's a whole room full of people like that, and nobody stepped up and was like, "Yo, what are we doing?" Because even that one voice to step up and say that might have created that domino effect of multiple people stepping up and saying, like, "Yo, all right, yeah, we breaking that silence and uncomfortableness of like, we know this is wrong, but we ain't got enough leaders. That's the problem. We don't got enough people that's willing to step up and be or go outside of the status quo and the norm. Everybody wants to do, and again, even going to parents. Like parents want to be cool. They want to be looked at as like, yeah, my dad, my mom, yeah, they let me do whatever, and like, yeah, they know what's going on, and da. But again, even as a kid, I'm thinking to myself, probably didn't even deserve to have all of those liberties and freedoms.
Well, I mean, so this is where it gets interesting to me because as parents, right? And I've always thought you guys to be good citizens first, above all else. And I've always emphasized you guys were athletic, that you were student athletes, not athletic students. And I always emphasize that we are part of the community. And I think Cam did a great job of reinforcing it.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way we lost their way because I would be upset with my kid if my kid was
if
I found out my kid was in a room and something like that happened and they didn't say anything. I would be I would be so pissed off that you watch somebody one of your peers, and you didn't say a word. But you thought enough to film it.
They stomping them out with cleats and like
just kicking them in the head, and then try to stick the book.
And that's not funny. You know what I mean? That's not again. And we was as a team, I would say collectively, we probably done some things. Like we've seen some guys get into fights and stuff like that. Like teammates, inter squad stuff. But it was like one-on-one. It was like they got into it and then they over it. It was done after that. We was not taking objects. We was not holding people down and like beating on somebody like that. Because sometimes the beef ain't even really that serious. It ain't that serious ever.
Well, I do want to get to I want to know what made him pick this kid. That's
I feel like it's bullying, man. Like
it is bullying, but what made him target this particular kid, and what made the other kids feel like they couldn't even go home and tell their parents. They couldn't say, "Look, hey, mom, dad, this is what's going on in the locker room." I don't understand. And the flip side of it is that poor kid was so traumatized, that he trusted an adult. When an adult told him, "Don't tell anybody, we're going to handle it," and they didn't.
I know that had to hurt.
They didn't, and then his mom had to find out from a friend.
I mean, no, he said he ended up telling his mom 4 days later or something.
No, but the thing said his mom, she questioned him because she found out from a friend who saw the video.
Man, that is.
And so, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, how do you tell your mom that happened? I don't know where dad is. But as a young man, I get it as a young man, you really don't want to. Definitely, you don't want to have this conversation with your mom. Anybody, but you definitely don't want to have a conversation with your mom.
Again, that's why I definitely like the coach. Again,
I mean, it's and they weren't babies. They weren't 19, 20, 21-year-old people.
So it's
Yeah, but that's the part that stood out to me.
So a lot of people, I guarantee that started doing some research after these names was dropped, and my wife was one of them. So she looked up some of the people, and it's like they older people, like they respected guys, and like
they put the name in the article, the name stuff.
Some are gonna work with kids in other areas, so it's just.
Well, I will say this, and one who work with kids, I say this all the time. You have to do clearances. I'm a big fan of clearances. But clean clearances only when you have not gotten caught.
Right.
And I think sometimes we put such an emphasis on clearances, like clean clearances when you just have not gotten caught. Or there's times when people don't want to say anything, so they just let people go. They don't fire them.
or take the necessary steps.
They just release them.
And I mean, that's Shanahan was doing that. We see that right now. He was out here trying to keep things under wraps and like do things without it getting public. But at this point, it's like, what are we doing? Like your job, everybody's job is to protect the children. And at no point throughout this entire thing, I felt like this kid was protected or anybody stood up for him. You know? Until now, but it's just like not his peers, not the coaches.
Well, you added something I didn't know. So you think because they're having a successful season, you think that contributed to them not home?
Yeah, I think for one, him being a new coach and just getting there and being there for a couple months, and this happened to Idea Watch, and then the team, you know, before they were successful, they were trying to maintain and keep that success. And they in the midst of a solid season. They had some pretty good players on the team, but they had some really good players.
And I felt bad for some of those kids. I did. I felt bad for some of those kids.
You're not protecting the other kids.
Yeah, I did, but then I wondered how many were in that locker room too.
Yeah. But
that's when parents started saying, how many kids were in that locker room that saw it and didn't say anything?
And again, it's the lessons that are being taught there, like as an adult. Like, what are you teaching these kids? That, you know, like, yo, we can let certain things slide or put this under the rug because as long as we win.
But we don't think about the ramifications because now you got 4 adults with 6 children, or especially 4 adults whose lives are they will never be able to coach again. They'll never be able to work with kids again.
2 18-year-olds.
And hopefully they're not, and hopefully, you know, they're not parents because their parents is going to affect that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just like, the idea is,
I mean and so 2 of the kids were 18?
Yeah, 2 of them were 18. And they get in trouble as adults. And I think, like, that's the lesson too. Like, man, for parents, like, you are raising young adults. When you look at that 2-year-old, 3-year-old, whatever age you're looking at your child, you are raising an adult. And I think sometimes we get too loose with just like kind of.
And I'm not defending them, but you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And so I say this all the time. I remember sitting in room.
Sometimes parents are rebellious. Like, I don't know what it is. Like the idea, like,
well,
my generation,
I think Sarah makes a little like. I remember sitting in rooms 20 years ago when they were talking about cutting funding, character education programs, self-education, just basic programs that we had growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And because they felt, you know, they were wasting their money on high school students and upper middle school. So they wanted to concentrate on elementary school students. They would concentrate on lower middle school. The problem is that gap of kids who never got it, who they kept saying should have got it at home, are parents now.
Mm-hmm.
They're parents now. And so some of them don't have the capacity on. And then some of them, you know, when they hear stuff like that, to you, they become better. Nobody gonna tell me how to raise my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or nobody know my kid better than I know my kid. In reality, you don't. You don't even know your kids participating in stuff like that. You know, so I think I know when I run panel groups and have conversations with some of the people in the group, man, you know, well, I'm not gonna do it because my mom did it to me, but it worked. And what it was mean, it wasn't mean.
That was the rebellious part.
Your mom put guardrails up because she wanted you to become a decent human being.
Mm-hmm. Like that's the rebellious part that I'm talking about. And like I think sometimes like people like to traumatize how they was brought up.
Oh yeah.
Everybody want to act like they had this kind of crazy, rough upbringing where it's just like a competition and be like, well, I had this. Or like sometimes, y'all kids want to make it hard.
I look at my dad. I look at my dad, you know, I say, growing up, I thought he was just extremely tough. I did. I thought he was extra hard. You know, I thought it was unfair sometimes because I thought my brother kind of got a better deal than I got. And I did. And you couldn't tell me it wasn't. But then a funny thing happened. You get older and situations start to occur and you're ready for them. You're prepared for them. You know, you get wounded and hurt in relationships, things like that, and you're ready for them. And I remember one thing my dad did say to me, you know, even in the midst of dementia, he said, you know, I know you think I was tough on you, but I did it, 1, because you needed, 2, I knew you could handle it. But I think, you know, I say that because now we have parents who try to shield their kids from everything. Yes. My kid ain't gonna handle anything, you know. So I think that's the balance, you know. And to parents out there, think as your kid get older, they'll begin to realize that, my parents, what's best I thought they were.
Uh-huh.
You know, I can tell you the aha moment for each one of y'all when y'all would come back and say, "Man, I wish I would have stayed in school," because you have those moments. I was the same way as I got older and stuff started going on, and I watched people around me fold and melt and not be able to handle it. Yo, I was like, man, you know, my dad, you know, I didn't know it, but he was preparing me for that.
And that's exactly
He was getting me ready.
your point. It's like, what are you preparing
Yeah.
your children to be or do in life? And it's for the unforeseen situations that they may be in. You know, like I've definitely had instances or situations where it was like, you know what, I gotta be mentally tough and like I know that I'm gonna be fine and handle this and tackle this head on. And there's certainly be things I feel like in my past that kind of built me.
But it's a balance because I know I deal with men and I
And I think one thing in the community, I think
yeah.
I think that part is missing. Like,
Oh yeah.
it used to be easy for like your friends
Yeah.
to be able to. I looked at them as uncles and it's like authority figures, and they on top of even looking at them as authority figures, they were in my life or present and making sure like you know things were good. An extension of you.
Relationships are different too, and I say that with your immediate friends because I remember, and we talk about this on the yard a lot, man. We weren't gonna let each other do stupid stuff. There's a line that we weren't gonna let somebody else in our group cross. You know, there's no way. Now we weren't gonna tackle them, but we weren't gonna fit their idol. You know, like we wouldn't let somebody participate in what happened. What started happening? You know, and now I don't know, and especially when I'm working with kids, they don't have that line, that barometer. You know, and so it's kind of interesting because do they just not understand friendship? Do they understand loyalty? You know, our parents not teach them. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know how, you know, how do we get here when we get to a point where 19 kids could watch that and not one kid felt like I go home and tell my parent, you know, I should tell somebody to say, not one. And then it's funny because, you know, the next part of it was the community automatically turned on the black superintendent. It was his fault. He was hiding. And then all of it came out. He didn't know either. But it was funny how the community out here turned on him. He should be fired and all this stuff. They were going at him.
I mean, it was the idea that they just wanted somebody to pay and be held responsible. I mean, that's normally, I think, how things are when you are outraged. I'm not saying that's how it should go. I'm just saying that is a normal, it's human nature, like, especially with Nolan Wells. With this right now, it's like somebody needs to pay. Like,
but I think skin tone plays a role.
And you undoubtedly,
put up an exact point. Yes. Somebody wrote a little article today, and I read today, and it was that he wasn't trying to start a race, right? He just pointing to the facts. He said, notice the difference when Carmelo Anthony stabbed right away. Somebody went out for the family. No questions asked. Nobody asked about the bullying. Nobody asked, right away. But now when Nolan Wild, there was no sympathy for the family. Right away, he started attacking his character. He was drunk. He made a bad decision. He made, he did, all kind of stuff right away. And it was a good point because you start to realize it. And then the victim was characters being attacked. But I think it goes back to our original conversation. I think accountability is not being taught. Those conversations with parents and kids are just not the same anymore. And it's funny because, perfect example, work with middle school kids, just getting them to think outside the box. What's your dream vacation? Some of them can't even think like that, man. They still stuck in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They still stuck in the neighborhood. But what is the parent? I'm not knocking, I'm not saying all parents, but even if we brought it to this situation right here, again, if my kid was in that room, we're going to 19 people, and I found out me and him got a problem. That he didn't say a word to anybody, we have a problem. And I think you see more and more parents, and what are we doing with our kids that our kids would rather film stuff, and not talk about it. I think that's crazy that you would film something.
What are we not?
But yeah, good look at it.
Because it's like we in a culture of like that's all people do is record themselves, quote unquote, reporting what they see or what they're doing. And it's just that's the climate of the culture that we're in. And I've seen like prominent people in the tech industry kind of coming out and saying this, like that technology is raising these kids.
Yeah, man. I used to kind
of technology is raising.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I would definitely agree with
that. And I think it's It needs to be addressed. I think it's something that's just been kind of going on for quite some time, and I don't even know if it will be like.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you feel that to some degree they should begin to hold parents accountable?
When what kids are
Kids do crazy stuff like that. Is it something you like?
Yes.
Naturally, the kid is going to be held accountable, and the kid is going to go through repercussions or whatever. But should there be something for parents?
It depends on, I guess, the behaviors of the child and how often, like the signs and all that stuff. Like, because there's been like school shooting cases where I've seen like the parents is buying the kid a gun, and all the signs is there. Yes, lock the parent up. Put both of them, put them together. But then it's like instances where you got kids who are just they're a handful.
Yeah.
Like I've been in them instances. These single moms who just got kids or sons and children that just take a lot, and despite their efforts, it's just a lot for them to. So it's.
I think people
do difficult thing.
They will make their own decision. They will make their own decision. They do. But I also think in some instances where there are some parents who just try and complete the lie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much evidence is out there. I don't care
lock them up.
I don't care how much is there, and and I don't want to keep going. Like if you look at the Nolan Wall thing, the fact that they all got together, collaborated, they still telling you something was wrong. And as a parent, how do you not have any sympathy for another parent who possibly some kid in your son's circle murdered?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't your son. How do you feel? And so that's the part that's troublesome to me. So like in that situation, say all this does turn out to be a ruse and a lie, and they're all involved. What do? Do you hold parents accountable?
And it's funny because these are like people who hold positions of power in the community and put the fix in to just cover up everything. So they all need to be held accountable. There, lose their license, jobs, and throw them in the jails. Throw them in the jail, like work, because it's to the point that you just made. Like, a child lost their life, and if your child has something to do with it, like you should, as an adult, a parent, the same thing that you would want, some justice. Yeah. You should be willing to give that to somebody.
Somebody in that group knows what happened. There's somebody in that group knows what happened. Mm-hmm. But we move on to our life. LeBron James and the Philadelphia 76ers. I have mixed emotions, man. Everybody's going crazy, and everybody's booking their seats to the parade. And I went on today. They still haven't released the schedule yet. I'm like, come on, man, it's crazy. And usually it's out by now. They have 3 games on there. They have both Boston games, and I forget who else they play. Some Boston preseason. That's the only thing on the schedule. But I mean, it's interesting because I think the thing that intrigues me most about this is how players are talking and how analysts are talking. And a lot of analysts are condemning him, and he don't understand he's chasing rings, blah blah blah. He's limiting himself from the GOAT conversation, And players are like, "Yo, that's a super team over there." Players are like, "Yo, hey, you know what? He's 30, 38, 39.
40.
Well, so why would you go somewhere where you got to play 40 minutes a game and be less effective when you can go somewhere and play 10, 15, 20 minutes, and be at your best, and so, you don't have to work as hard. So it's just interesting the concepts of it. And then,
like, what y'all want him to do? Go to like a team that's on the fringe of making the playoffs and try to carry a struggling franchise? Those days are over for him. So it is like, let him make the right decision for himself and his career. Like, the point is to try to win.
But I think the comparisons are not.
I get into it. We still gotta play the games.
Like when people say, okay, Michael Jordan wouldn't go to another team. And I hear people say that. One, it was harder for players to move around like that, but he didn't have to because they came to him. Dennis Rodman. Players came to him. You know what I mean? It wasn't like everybody on that team was drafted by Chicago. So when I hear people say that, like Larry Bird, Robert Parrish came from another team. Dennis Johnson came from another team. They drafted Kevin McHale. Bill Walton came from another team. It's funny, when you hear that, yeah. So what's the difference is you go where they come to you. Charles Barkley left the Sixers to go to Phoenix because he thought he had a chance to win. He didn't go there just to be one of the guys. He left because he thought the Sixers didn't have enough around him. But now you get LeBron James.
And
I don't get it.
I think part of it is just it's the story. It's like something to talk about. We can't all. It's easy to kind of just throw out that little rage bait kind of discussion or conversation. But there's no way I feel like some of them, like even to your point, like Charles Barkley, you believe that? You did that.
Well, see, Charles never sees what he does. So I think he exempts himself from a lot of stuff that if he really was taking hold of the mirror up, he would see he actually participated in that. But
and I mean, what's crazy is like most guys, everybody that has been in the NBA, like the star guys, I feel like at some point in time when that contract extension was up, it was always the conversation or discussion is where's the best place for me to go where I can win.
Well, I think the most hypocritical thing about this was he took less money. Now he went somewhere and took a whole lot of money.
Then y'all would have been like,
chasing the money, trying to get the last payment. Yeah, so it's like, how do you win? And whether you like it or not, he said all the right things. He works out with Tyrese Maxey 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. He loves Tyrese Maxey. Him and James Tatum Brown had a little beef, but he respects a basketball player. He respects him as a talent, man.
I'm excited to have
knock on wood, he may trip on something and hurt himself, but this is the first time in 5 years and Embiid's going to be healthy when the season starts. If he don't trip over a hot dog.
They say that every.
Last year he came to the Olympics. He was like the year before that he was overweight.
I don't even want to hear it.
No, I'm just saying though. They're saying right now he's working out, doing a little tool see. So I mean, on paper they got a real shot. And to me, we talked about it before the cameras came on. I don't have a problem with a guy trying to win a ring with 4 different teams. I don't.
Just bring one to my team.
I don't.
That's all I care about.
What's interesting?
They said they're gonna have him at the point. I like that too.
And he's a high character guy. Okay, this is the part that I know this is gonna get a rise out of you when I say this. I was watching this thing today, right? And Rich Paul was on. Mm-hmm. So he's Ben Simmons' agent too. Right? Make the face. So why are you making the face? So they were talking, and he was saying how he was talking to Ben, and he was telling Ben that this is Ben, man. You got a lot left in the tank. He just fished all last year. He didn't do nothing last year.
Pro fishing.
He's world champion fisher. Anyway, he said, you can come back and you can just do the pick and roll in the 5 and everything. So I'm saying all this because they were saying he would be a good fit because Ben Simmons himself mentioned he wanted to come back to play with the Sixers. he wanted to come back. Now I'm just telling you. And then they were showing the highlights of how LeBron, he would drive and kick it to Luka. Luka used to the elbow thing kind of thing, and they were saying that could be Embiid. They were saying that would be Embiid, and Ben Simmons would be the guy crashing off the other wing.
He would have to do these things. That's the problem.
No, he rebounded. He rebounded and defended well. That wasn't his issue. His issue was the ball back in the back. Yeah.
He don't need the ball in his hands.
Maybe but he was on this team.
A good screener, and when you catch him in the roll, the problem to me is like when he's rolling. He should be rolling hard to finish. He's gonna be rolling and looking to pass it. He gonna be too.
Yeah, but what they said was he would be the best option to back up. Or they said in a short-term situation, it would be the best option to back up Embiid.
At the 5?
Yeah, he said that short-term, like he said, the option as far as that because he's done it. He's defended all positions before. And let's face it, there's a few. There's not a whole lot of dominant centers in the league. There's a few, but it's not like you got every team you go to got the guy that's So I don't know. I'm just saying I knew when I was listening to it today. I said, "Man, I can't wait to say this to Chris."
Oh my! That would be.
I can't wait to say this to Chris.
I've never seen somebody so frustrated in my life.
But you wouldn't need to do a whole lot of shooting.
Andre Drummond with at least
what would you need?
Throw some stuff up there.
If you got Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey. And you got LeBron James, you got H-Comb out there. What do you need Ben Simmons to shoot for?
Ben Simmons is the most insecure basketball player I've ever seen in my life.
Maybe fishing has transformed.
Seen anything like that. Like somebody who has all these skills and intangibles. But you can see his brain literally melting when he's on the court.
It's crazy. So maybe he's out there fishing, man. He did more than he realized. I can do this. What do you have to do? They got a solid bench. They have a solid
my sanity, sleep.
Well, if he's willing to come back to the minimum, I'm gonna try it. I would put him on a 10, 15 game schedule because you got enough talent around him coming off the bench. You do. You got talent, man. And he wants to prove something. I'm sure he does not want to end his career the way that it. I'm positive that he does not want to end his career the way that it. A big question mark.
If I would put something in his contract like, yo, if you don't shoot a certain amount of jumpers or shots, I'm done. Man, I don't even care. I want to see you shoot a bad one and just pull up on somebody.
I agree. I wouldn't. I don't know about putting this contract because I don't want him to jack it the wrong.
I don't agree. Maybe you got to give him a confidence boost.
But I'm thinking, but you're playing with some of the best athletes. You're playing with Windhouse, the best center, one of the best center. But you're playing with a Hall of Famer. You're playing with a Hall of Famer. If he can't get the best out of you, then I don't know what to tell you.
It just makes me mad because there have been worse guys in the league who be chucking it up,
and made careers.
And made careers,
yeah.
And
made careers.
It's just to have all of the skill, and it's like I understand he probably been dealing with injuries and his mental hasn't necessarily been at the best place.
But I think part of it is they make too much of the mental. I understand mental.
He did that.
But you can make it a crutch. Well, people around too started making all these excuses.
He was lying about it at first, and then it really happened. That's what happened.
Like excuses for him and all things, man.
He was playing that.
Yeah. But I think immaturity had a lot to do with it. I think
his circle, who around him.
I was about to say that people who surround him had a lot to do with it. And I also think coaching had a lot to do with it.
You know what? Yes. I think he always had people up his butt.
Yeah, you got to, like I said all along, I don't know why we allow players to man trades. And if we do, I'm trading to the worst team in the league. I'm not trading to A.J. Brown, you want to Cleveland Brown. Yeah. I'm not trading to the team.
It has to be on some like mutual thing.
So now all you got to do is complain and cry and you out of here.
Pretty much.
So I don't know. I
be a little brat.
I don't know. If he's signed for the minimum, come on, man. He's probably going to be taking somebody place he ain't going to play anyway.
Ben Simmons?
Yes, because you got, they got guys coming off the bench. The first 3 or 4 guys coming off the bench can play.
I like Rockford. Do we still got him?
Yeah, but how much is he going to pay?
They're going to keep Justin Edwards. They're going to do that.
Yeah, but how much is so other those guys going to play?
Man? But they different positions too.
Yeah, because
it's just Bona. He going to play. He going to get some time.
Yeah, but Bona is like
Bona's a bonehead. I know. I get it.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. he needs a coach that can develop him. He's not. They need to bring a Lottie Wine or something to work with him. He has athleticism, but he just he got to but he got to put it together, man.
I mean, he's young, and even just ball standpoint of how long he's playing basketball.
I agree, but there's some. But see, that's why
he needs the minutes of time.
Messed up in Embiid.
He needs the time.
Rick Brown messed up in Embiid, man. You can't allow players to pick up these bad habits early because it's hard to get it out of them. It's hard, man.
Yeah,
it's hard when you get older. Now, all of a sudden, you try to, especially if they've been a league man, now they got paid, and it's hard.
I don't know. I don't want to blame Brett Brown. I like Brett Brown.
I like Brett Brown too, but he allowed that culture to start this. He allowed that culture to permeate into what we see now.
What's he supposed to do?
Be no tough on him.
The process
was like Blaber being
there. The process was processing. And it was a crazy ride,
until the boss excelled it. But no, it wasn't that bad. He wasn't. He wasn't that bad. No.
Like remember, T.J. McConnell was just like a guy that we picked up just to fill a roster and maybe not be that good. And he still did. He still did. Yeah,
he played a decent level.
He found some diamonds in the rough throughout the process.
Yeah, man, a lot of success with the bigs.
Yeah. But I think Brett Brown was put in a tough situation. They wanted to be bad.
Yeah, but also I get that. But you gotta establish a culture. And I don't think he established the right culture. When you have a lot of young players, we gotta have some he was coaching like he coached San Antonio. San Antonio, you had Tim Duncan, you had David Robinson, you had Deneau, you had these guys professionals. They've been in the league forever.
I think he was doing it. Because you wanna know why I think he did? Because he had Ben Simmons playing probably better than we've ever seen.
He did. But you know what? But he was the same Collin and kick him in the butt, shoot the ball better.
Yeah. I
like Brett Brown. I think Brett Brown, he did okay, but you have a lot of young players like they have with Bryant and Embiid and all those guys. You gotta They need discipline on their career.
I think the hallmark of a good coach is somebody who can deal with and kind of manage all those different types of personalities.
You have to find out about Nick Nurse.
Yeah,
he's gonna have his hands full.
And I was gonna say, like, a lot of those guys like were probably certain styles that weren't appropriate for the type of guy that we had.
He's gonna have his hands full now.
I'm excited to see what the season brings. You know, I feel good about him. I mean, forgetting we got Anthony Simons. We just got Casey. Oh, this team like rounds out the wing. We'll see. And I like the rookie we picked up. I feel bad for him and BJ. They gonna get limited minutes.
Let me tell you how it's done.
Average black man shining like the sun.
LeBron and LeBaron.
He's really great in his arm. I think he'll play. I think he's gonna be. I think he'll be in the mix. He can guard bigger guys, man. You know.
Step into the room, we bringing that vibe.
Yeah, so he can guard bigger guys. You can't put him on big guys for a minute.
We elevate the voices, you know how we do. Chris C, I got the wisdom, laying down the facts. Chris with the passion, pushing us
I believe in more right now.
rising up from the rest.
I'm excited to see that Rossi's just trying to be here.
But another great show. Definitely hope you get well soon. Well, again,
Chris Bender Jr., as always, here to empower, inspire.
you gonna be at Tuesday?
Yo, make sure that if you're interested to pull up and see me do some comedy, Tuesday, Claus Comedy, South Broad Street. You can Google it. If you want to sign up and do some comedy, I've heard that too.
I will be there. I will be there.
Those at 7 and 9. You know when you want to come and pull up.
I will be there. I will be in the place. See y'all. I'm probably gonna be 7 o'clock. So I don't think we